afternoon. Welcome to the social media program on television, The Buzz. And of course, today is Wednesday, is the 19th of September, 2018. It's a pleasure, as always, to be here on the program. My name is Patience Belukafo. I welcome you to the show. This afternoon, I'm joined by two experts in the game, so to say. Sitting close by me is a legal practitioner. He's a skilled commercial lawyer with experience, especially in the oil and gas industry. Mr. Sheson Akisonya. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you indeed for joining us. Thank you for joining us. And of course, one of our regulars on the show is back again. He is a renowned journalist with the Guardian newspapers, Mr. Chuks Nwanne. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Chuks, how was traffic out there?
Man, I don't know what I'm
Hellish.
going to do about Lagos traffic because
Hellish.
you just think you have seen it all, then you come out and you see the worst.
Yes.
And then with the, I don't know why the custom people are always pulling the trailers into the, because that's exactly why the Bank Anthony Road is now.
It's always blocked. Yes, yes.
A lot of containers.
It's a major challenge. And then, you know, you have the customs training school and you have the federal operations unit side by side, you know, and then a lot of activities going on there. I hope someone from there is watching. Please, let's help to ease off traffic. But then, Barrister, you seem to have had a better experience with traffic getting here.
Well, I think the route that I took probably is different from yours. I came through the toll gate.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
so.
yeah,
but we're here.
I like
Thank you for joining us. All right, viewers, remember the number again is 0802-836-8971. The number will be on the screen as we progress. Our first story today, UNICEF declares state of emergency in Nigeria's water and sanitation sector. According to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, a state of emergency is actually necessary in our water, sanitation and hygiene sector. The international body noted that in the past 15 years, Nigeria had remained amongst the top 5 open defecators in the world, moving the ranks to attain second position, and that was as at 2015. Quoting the Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, the report released in January this year, UNICEF said 140 million Nigerians have access to telephone facilities, while only 97 million have access to toilets facilities. Of course, this puts Nigeria as #1 country in Africa with highest number of people practicing open defecation, and we are second globally. That is a pass mark if we're to look at it from the other side. All right, we have a short report on that particular story. We'll take that quickly and then we'll come back to the table. Join us again.
Boreholes, suspended water tanks. These are common sights in Nigeria, especially in the rural areas. They are commissioned, usually with fanfare. Despite these, access to water by the average Nigerian is dismal. In fact, Nigeria is counted among the 18 countries in the world that are going backwards rather than forward towards the Millennium Development Goals.
If you go to most of the rural areas, you will see different water schemes. You will see, like in the Niger Delta, you will see Niger Delta Basin Development Authority water scheme abandoned, completed and abandoned. You will see the old Umpadek water scheme. You will see the state government water scheme, and you will see the local government water scheme, all in one village, and none of them appear to be functioning.
Sanitation is even worse. Open defecation is still commonplace. Refuse disposal, a huge challenge even in Nigeria's capital city. Official records show that only about half of Nigeria's 168 million population have access to safe water, while just 3 out of every 10 Nigerians can boast of decent toilets and other sanitary facilities. Nigeria is way behind countries which look up to it.
It's a little bit depressing because we are categorized among the countries that are off track, that are fragile, countries that are vulnerable as it pertains to availability, access to affordable clean water and sanitation. Many of the countries, even some of the other African countries around us, have gone. They've met their targets for MDG, for water and for sanitation, some as much as 98%.
Even post-conflict Sierra Leone and Liberia have made better progress than Nigeria in the race to the MDGs.
Every single Nigerian has a right to safe water, improved sanitation and hygiene services. And one thing Nigeria must do differently is to ensure that there's a human rights approach to our budgeting process.
The consequences of the negligence of water and sanitation issues are glaring. For instance, between 70 and 85% of patients in Nigerian hospitals suffer from waterborne diseases. 90% of premature, including under 5 deaths, which is 178 out of every 1,000 live births, is attributable to poor water, sanitation and hygiene. Bad as they are, these are not the only consequences.
When people are sick, they cannot work. And what happens is that the country loses in terms of its national income. And that's what I mean, that if we really want to grow, we must take care of this water and sanitation problem.
If Nigeria meets her commitments this time, 70 million more people will have access to decent sanitation, while water will reach 48 million more people, especially in
welcome back. 0802-836-8971 is the number to use. All right, gentlemen, here we are again. We are on the map for a very, very critical issue, and we're not doing very well, if you know what I mean. In fact, the international body, UNICEF, is afraid Nigeria will not meet up, to the 2025 targets, in terms of SDG goals and all of that. Let's hear what your reactions are to this story. Nigeria water, hygiene, sanitation.
Yeah, I mean, it's very embarrassing. And it is also sad because we are talking of life here, life of people, health of people. First of all, you need to have water to survive and to be in good health. Yeah. And also, what kind of water are you having? Are they clean water that will ensure that your environment, what you do with the water, you're healthy? So hygiene issue also comes in. And linking that to the reports we have on the open defecation issue, and we being at the top or second position, the top in Africa and second position in the world for wrong reasons. I mean, it's very embarrassing. So I think it's something that we really need to look at. That's the people in charge, and of course the generality of Nigerians as well, because a lot of this have to do with ignorance of our people, apart from the fact that government is not doing enough in the health sector, and mainly in the primary health sector, which is more about preventive rather than, So the budget issue, how budgets are allocated, and all that, what are our priority areas? We need to look into this a bit more. Yeah.
All right, Chooks. I mean, you think, with urbanization, civilization, and every other thing, that this issue shouldn't be like on the front burner anymore. But here we are. I mean, an international body is actually calling Nigeria out on this issue. What does this say about us and how we're being governed, really?
Patience, this kind of story, when I hear things like this, it gets me thinking. It just tells you how bad we are as a people. It tells you how wicked leadership has been in Nigeria. I'll paint a clear picture.
Okay.
This happens to be something that I understand how it works. If you and I sit down today, you go to National Assembly, and you look at, let's not even go far, this current National Assembly. Let's look at how many boreholes have been approved.
In terms of constituency projects?
Yes. Okay. Check how many boreholes. Put it back to the ones before them. Put it back. something tells me it's either we appropriate these monies and we don't get the job done. That's why we should be talking about not having water. I'm not talking about the water, like Lagos State Water Board. That one is state. I'm talking of these people in the National Assembly. They get constituency project to dig boreholes. And you know what happened? In some cases, somebody just puts it in his house. So when he's not around, people can't even access water. Some of these boreholes are supposed to be public boreholes that should help people get water. But you find that if there's 5 in one community, those 5 are, they will sink it inside a private compound. It means if the man travels or locks up his house,
then access to water is, okay.
So that is one. Then secondly, it also tells you that I prefer organic growth. Let us grow gradually. Let us take the first things first. A country that cannot provide water, a country like Nigeria, I don't know how far water is in this country, because somewhere in the southeast, even in Lagos. In Lagos,
yes. I mean,
you just get borehole and then you drink water. But we will never do it. There's a project called Greater Onitsha Water Scheme. My father happened to be a water engineer. It was a World Bank assisted project done for the commercial city of Onitsha. Because if you know Onitsha, they had to do a World Bank assisted project. And that Greater Onitsha Water Scheme provided water for the entire Onitsha and the environs, including Ubosi and other communities. During the Mbadinuju regime as governor, the water board went on strike. Because of that strike, the Greater Onitsha Water Scheme collapsed. From Mbadinuju's regime to Ngige regime to Peter Obi and to Obiano, there is no water in the commercial city of Onitsha.
Up to now.
Up to now, the Greater Onitsha Water Scheme is still down, except they did it yesterday. So you begin to wonder, what exactly is government doing? What's the job of government? If you can't provide ordinary water, and you know the sad part of it, make attempt to drill private boreholes. Local government people will come, and then you have to pay. You have to pay for drilling borehole, for doing what government ought to do for you.
That they didn't do.
They didn't do. You will pay for doing that. So I don't know, but things like this, it's good that sometimes they call us out, because that's the only time we sit down and begin to look at ourselves again. That a country like Nigeria, up till now, we are still talking water. It's a shame.
It is a shame. I mean, in that report, we heard even Rotimi Amechi was there talking about in Delta State, how you have water board, you have the local government, something on water, you have different boards,
agencies,
but nothing is working.
That's exactly what we're saying.
I mean, there are people who are supposed to be, atop all of these agencies, who are paid to do the job. Jobs are not done, and people are dying daily in our hospitals, at home, because of failure to do their jobs.
On this show, sometime ago, I said, if you take time to look at Nigeria and the structures being put in place to ensure that we manage ourselves well, you discover that we might not really need restructuring. The problem is that we have put up structures, we have put up agencies that are not doing anything. If we can get them to work, because there's a Ministry of Water, there's this water board, there's this. So what does that mean? So what are they doing?
Exactly. I recall my growing up days. When we had public taps, and all of that we don't have anymore, and you're beginning to wonder what is happening. I understand the fact that with modernization, everybody is more like you are like your own local government. You provide your light, you have your own borehole in your compound and all of that. But it does not mean that government shouldn't do its primary role. Now, according to a report on the 19th of December 2017, last year, Nigeria spent 314 billion naira on ghost water projects in the last 5 years. Yes, in the last 5 years up until 2017. Over 300 billion naira, and then there is nothing to show for it. Thank God you are a legal practitioner. Let's come from the legal angle. Yes, who is culpable?
I think that goes back to the issue of corruption. That is one of the major planks of the government in power right now, one of their major program. Corruption is endemic in Nigeria at all levels, public or private sector, federal, state, or local government sector. Money are allocated to many of these agencies, but they are misappropriated. And of course, when that happens, what the money are meant for, they are not used for them. And at the end of the day, when we talk about corruption, the effect is on the generality of Nigerians. It's just a few people enjoying at the expense of Nigerians. And it's a key issue that has to be tackled. It's a key program, and I think government has to really, really focus not just on the big thieves, even the one you call smaller thieves, so that it will be more of thing of mind that people will not even start thinking of it. So beyond punishment, beyond sanctioning people that are caught, I think a lot of elements need to go into all the issue of health, the primary reason why all of us, we need to fight corruption. People will need to start thinking that corruption is not just about, when I get rich and many other people are suffering, then I'm not really rich because my wealth, my life is in danger. Because if the others are poor or they are not living well, because come to think of the rich they employ drivers, they employ gatesmen, they employ the maids and all that. And if they are not healthy, you can contact diseases through them. Whether it's TB or AIDS or cholera, many of these diseases are easily, contactable. So we really need to look at this. Corruption is something that we need to fight. And I also spoke about the allocation generally, apart from corruption, this priority we give to issues, for now I think what the government is focusing more on is on infrastructure in terms of spending. Very important, but at the same time we have to look at those other soft issues like health, like education, and also allocate, substantial amount into them because they're also important. Of course, make sure that the money are used for what they are allocated for. Yeah.
Interesting. Jokes.
When you talk about, that's why when Mr. President talks about corruption, people say he's always talking corruption. But if you understand what corruption has done to this country, you will know why everybody should be talking corruption. Everything that is happening to us is embedded in that corruption. Let me give you a story. I've seen a situation whereby a water project was commissioned, and on the day of the commissioning, you know what they did? They just got a tanker to pump water into the tank. And then that day they just came, open the tap. The water only run that day that they commissioned it.
And that was it.
There's no water there because they didn't drill any borehole. So you see, when we talk corruption, and that's why when they talk about these ratings, I say, let's go back to see how much we have invested in providing adequate water. And look at where we are ranked. If you are going
the shortfall is clear.
See, it's clear where the problem is. It's not as if this country is not making money available for these projects. It's just that somehow, some politicians, some evil servants have decided to pocket the money. Because right inside their home, if they share any borehole, they first put that one in their own compound. Every other person can go to hell. So when the villagers come, when it pleases him, he allows them to fetch water and he's doing them a favor. So corruption has really dealt with us. You can't talk about sanitation without water. Do you know what it means? You don't have water in a day in your house.
Yeah. You can't flush your toilet.
You can't do anything. The whole place stinks.
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know how else we are going to say that. But my own is that even in 2018, as a country, we are still talking water.
But how did we even get to this level? Let me
The
ask
open
a
defecation
general
issue.
question. Like, how many of us actually pays a Lagos State water bill here?
I don't because I provide my own water.
I
had to buy water
I'm sure
every
if we
time.
do a census on that,
Yeah.
the
Because
majority
we provide your
of
water.
Lagosians don't. So what happened to the Lagos State Water Corporation? I recall growing up, You know, my father used to pay the bill like you pay your bill regularly,
Yeah.
but that has like faded into oblivion now.
Yeah, because they're
Everybody
not
has a-
providing that service again.
Yeah.
If they're providing it, then you're obliged to
Well,
pay
that
for
is
it.
wrong. It's one of your fundamental rights as a citizen. You should be able to open your tap and water. And I mean,
Because
water
it's
provided by
tied
the
to
government
right to
should
life.
flow. Yes, not until you have money to dig your own borehole before you can. It's wrong.
You know that actually it's cheaper to use government water.
Yeah, it's cheaper to use
Definitely.
government
For
anything.
people to decide to do their own tells you how bad.
How bad the situation
Nobody's
is.
looking
I
at
get,
it
I
because
get
you
it.
can't get it where you need it. So why then?
But then this other issue of open
Defecation.
defecation. I mean, we're second only to India. I don't know why why that is globally. Why people still poo everywhere. According to NCC's statistics, 140 million Nigerians have access to telephone facility, mobile phones and everything. But only 97 million have access to toilet facilities. In this day and age, there are people who still use what they call shalanga, you know that, the pit latrine. Yeah, in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, that is not even the worst. The worst is that there are some that don't even have shalanga.
At all.
They just defecate openly. I mean, you see pictures of people into lagons, you know, or into the gutter sites, or some in the bush. Some, because of ignorance, they don't see anything wrong in what they are doing because they don't know. So there, for that aspect, enlightenment needs to come in on the dangers of doing what you are doing. People need to know. Right from school, from primary school, I mean, we were taught when I was in primary school the need for good health, you know, and that good health, you know, combat diseases. So by the time you start knowing that, then you have to now link the fact that when you are defecating openly, it's unhealthy because people don't know that. They just think that they're just letting out waste out of their body. They don't see that they are hurting anybody. But that linkage had to be made. Maybe jingles in radios. Now that we have what do you call it? I mean, the data, you know, social media, all this, you know. Yeah, while we talk about politics, see, these issues also need to be talked about for people to know the dangers of what they are doing, and also those facilities for defecation, the public ones. It's not everybody that can afford to, you know, have it in his house and all that. So that the people that are indigent, you need to provide public ones as well. And even some of us, we may not be at home, but we need to, you know, pass it out. You need to be able to go to any facility around. What people do these days, maybe they go to the banks.
Or the eateries.
But some of them, they lock you out, they say no. So
if you don't buy anything,
yeah, so you need to have public ones for people to do that.
Wow.
And then, and of course, you know, you mentioned the issue of urbanization.
Yeah.
The population, some of this, because of this high population in urban areas, the facilities are overstretched. So you need to provide for those in the urban centers and the local, you know, areas. You need to educate them on the dangers of not just going to the bush or just doing it openly.
Wow. You want to say something?
Yeah, just to add that, like you said, there's also the attitude of we human beings. You know, you ask yourself, why would anybody want to do open defecation? It's either you get to the public toilet and it's messed up, and you're like, no, instead of this, I'd rather go outside. That's where it starts. Even sometimes you have a case where the water is running, somebody just don't have that time to just pull the handle and the flush. You also have that human issue. Because we never want, a lot of people don't want to get this right. Yeah, we are in a haste, we are moving. Because if you see a toilet and it's there, it's not flushed, nobody wants to sit there. So people are like, oh, I'd rather go to the bush or go somewhere.
I even heard that people at times do it in their car, put it in the polythene bag and throw it into the river. You know.
That is not funny, but you know, it's a terrible practice.
Yeah.
I'll have you know that even sometimes people have to move into their buildings, you know, and toilet facilities are not provided yet, and they just do it into the gutter for the time being. I'm saying this because I have lived somewhere before where my neighbor on the next compound didn't have toilet in his house, and it took a while before I could understand where that smell was coming from, and they just do it directly into the gutter. I mean, how do you build a house and not make provisions for for a toilet. I mean that for me is crazy.
That's also part of corruption.
It's part.
Who approved those
exactly.
buildings? How do you approve?
I mean,
what's the job of the sanitation officers to check if these people have all those facilities?
The government has a lot to do, a lot. All right, this one says Nigeria is blessed, but our government should make use of the water that boosts the economy and not award